Okay, great. I saw that Maisha was having some fun with you with the Rorschach test. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of our graduate psychology program. And a quick correction, I'm no longer the coordinator of the program. The coordinator of the graduate psychology program is now Dr. Madden. All right, I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you can see it. Okay, I need the host to allow me to share my screen. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. All right. All right, so first I'll give you a quick background in the Department of Graduate Psychology. And then if you guys have questions while I'm presenting, it's perfectly okay to raise your hands and just uh, let me know. All right, I'm trying to do slide share. So give me a moment to get out of this. Okay. Okay. So how many of you are planning to do graduate work in psychology? Anyone? Are you guys planning to stay in psychology? Or are you thinking of,
Yes.
okay, hold on 1 second. I'm having a bit of problem with my screen here. All right, so the Department of Graduate Psychology began as a Master of Science in Counseling Psychology program. And with the approval of the Northern Caribbean University Board in 2000, we became the Department of Behavioral Science. With inception of the PhD in counseling psychology, we achieved department status in 2010. So today, the department offers 3 graduate degrees in psychology. There's a Master of Science in Counseling Psychology, a Doctor of Philosophy in Counseling Psychology, and a PhD in Educational Psychology. And on the, I think it was someone called me yesterday and wanted me, did you want me to talk about the different subspecialty in psychology or just what we have at NCU? I think it was Marisha.
No, it wasn't me.
Okay. All right. So if that person is listening, maybe it was Jada. So let's talk a little bit about how you matriculate into the program. So applicants seeking admission should have earned a bachelor's degree from a credible college or university with an average of a B grade or better. So if you are coming from a university, I know you guys, your program is accredited, but if there's someone who's interested in the program and their undergrad degree is not accredited, we'll check to see whether or not that university or that college would meet the requirements for accreditation by UCJ. If this requirement is not met, then provisional admission may be granted. We have regular admission, and this may be obtained after the student has maintained a 3.0 GPA for 9 credits. So if we have someone who's coming in with less than a 3.0 GPA, then they are given provisional status. And for the first 9 to 12 credits, they're expected to earn a grade of B or better in order for them to continue in the program. And graduates don't have to have formal training in psychology or counseling. So we may have students who are coming from business or maybe this, chemistry or different areas. If that's the case, then those students would have to complete the prerequisites in order to matriculate into the master's program. The graduate psychology program is accredited by UCJ, and we also look at the requirements for not just UCJ, but the Adventist Accreditation Association, which is AAA. We also look at the Council for Accreditation, Counseling, and Related Educational Programs, and these are certification bodies in the USA. We also look at the requirements for the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, and of course, the state psychology boards in the USA and Canada. So what I'm saying is, after you've completed our program, the program is designed in such a way so that you can apply for licensure. If you decide to go work overseas in US or Canada, then you can apply for any of these licensing bodies in order for you to work in that jurisdiction. So if you decided to go to New York, then the program is designed in such a way that you can go to New York and apply for licensure in that state. Some people may decide they want to get their licensure in marriage and family therapy, because one of the emphasis area is marriage and family. So the degree is counseling psychology with two emphasis area, marriage and family and educational psych. So in the design of the program, we look at these different licensing bodies across, well, the US and Canada, and the program is designed in such a way that you would have the minimum requirement to apply for licensure in those jurisdictions. All right, so careful attention is given to the required instructional objectives of and that's what I was talking about earlier, the licensing bodies. And the common core areas of clinical orientation, clinical instruction, and research are addressed in the development of the program. So at the end of that program, you should be able to apply for licensure in other jurisdictions. Now, in addition, in Jamaica, the requirement for licensure is that you complete 2,000 hours, I believe, 2,005 hours post-graduate. So after you've completed the master's program, you can become licensed in Jamaica. But some people may decide, they want to go elsewhere. If you go elsewhere, then you may be required to take a standardized test in addition to the hours of the practicum hours. The Master of Science in Counseling Psychology is designed to prepare practitioners to work in a variety of contexts. So some students want to know, so after I have completed my degree in counseling psychology, where can I work? Where will I be able to find a job? And our graduates are now working in schools, industrial settings, hospitals, and other mental health facilities, and some individuals may be in private practice. So the program confers undergraduate student theoretical and practical skills. And we do follow a Christian worldview, which informs discussion, interpretation of current writings, and psychological and counseling theories. So we try to integrate the Christian worldview in the courses that you're going to take. So we'll talk about, the relevance of spirituality and so forth in the courses that you're taking. You'll be required to complete 49 credits in order to gain the MSc in counseling psychology. Students who do not have all the prerequisite courses in psychology, stats, and counseling will take the relevant courses in the Department of Behavioral Science. Or if you choose to, and some students have opted to take maybe the prerequisite courses at UE or another university, and then they transfer those courses to NCU in order for them to get entrance into the master's program. It's important to note that undergraduate credits may not be used to satisfy any of the 49 credits. There's an error here. 49 credits needed to complete the MSc in counseling psychology. So if you completed a course in stats at the undergrad level, then we wouldn't be able to accept that. Now let's talk a little bit about the cost. The cost per credit for the MSc program is $385 US or 48,317 Jamaican dollars per credit. So you'd multiply that by 49 to get the cost of the total cost of the program. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the PhD program as well, for those who may be interested in staying with NCU and completing a PhD as well. The cost is $525 US and 65,887 per credit for the PhD courses. Now the program follows two tracks. There's a thesis track and a non-thesis track. The aim of the thesis track is to produce graduates with introductory academic preparation for research or clinical careers in counseling psychology. So students who take this track do more research courses. The individual who's interested in, doing research, maybe working in an industry as a researcher or a research assistant, then they would probably want to choose the thesis track. For those who are interested in more practical and clinical work, then that person may decide to do the non-thesis track. And the aim is to produce graduates who are trained practitioners, and then they're taught how to apply the theoretical knowledge that they've gained in the program. And these individuals will, of course, work in a variety of settings. So you'll find them in the schools, in vocational settings. Some individuals may go into private practice, developmental counseling. Some individuals work with the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Education or other ministries. Students who take this track do more theoretical and practical courses. All right, so students wishing to complete their studies within the time stipulated must enter the program and follow the recommended sequence of courses. So we accept students every May, and the program runs for 2 years. So at the end of 2 years, you would be ready. Hopefully you would have completed all the courses and be ready for graduation. You'll be required to complete a practicum in the spring of that year that you're going to graduate. So graduation is usually in August, and you complete your practicum between January and July of that year. The practicum requirement is 600 hours, and you're expected to complete that 600 hours over 6 months. There are some individuals who may try to or would prefer to complete it in 3 or 4 months, but the requirement is, the best practice requirement across jurisdiction is that you complete your practicum hours within 6 months. Interruption of the program sequence will require continuing with the next cohort. So if you were to start the program in 2021 May, and for whatever reason you have to take a leave of absence and you come back a year later, then you'd be required to start with the cohort that's coming in that year, because of course your group would have moved ahead. Students will be assigned an advisor with whom they should communicate on all academic issues. A program check will be done each semester to ensure that academic progress is kept up to date. And we encourage the students to reach out to the advisor, keep in touch, and kind of just maintain communication, because sometimes you start with your advisor and there's no communication. The advisor may, or even though they may not reach out to you. So if you're having any issues, it's important that you reach out to your supervisor. It's the student's responsibility to contact the advisor to seek advice on matters of registration and program planning during the first month of each semester. Ensuring that this is done will assist in every easy transition into graduation activities. All right, so the application for admission should be sent to the Office of Admissions, Admissions Dean, Graduate Studies, Northern Caribbean University. You can also complete the application online. So if you go to the website, the application is there, you can complete it, and it will be sent to our department. An official transcript from that institution, from your institution, must be submitted. So if it is that you have a transcript that was issued to the student, we'll accept it initially, but before you can gain full acceptance, you'll have to have an official transcript sent to the university. All right, are there any questions so far? Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the PhD program in psychology. It confers the graduate student the ability to, and so for the master's program and the PhD program, we use the scientist practitioner approach, where we teach the students how to conduct research, but they're also taught how to apply the theoretical concepts in a clinical setting. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a PhD in educational psychology, and these individuals usually work in the institutions. So either they're professors or they're working in the schools, K to 12, doing assessments. And the second degree is PhD in counseling psychology, marriage and family emphasis. So earlier I talked to you about the different types of licensure that you would be qualified to sit. So the marriage and family therapist is a licensure that you would qualify to sit as a counseling psychologist because you have this emphasis area. And of course, the educational psych students may just seek to go for a straight licensure in Jamaica or wherever they decide to live and work. For the PhD program, the duration is 5 to 6 years and 81 credits. And for the PhD program, for the master's students, not the master's, for the counseling psychology, marriage and family emphasis, these individuals are expected to complete a practicum and an internship. And for the educational side, they'll just complete the internship. They wouldn't have to do a practicum. All right, any questions, comments?
There's a question in the chat, Dr. Thompson.
Okay, let's see if I can pull it up. Can you read it out for me?
It says, could you please repeat what you said about not having counseling experience to be matriculated into the MSc Counseling Psychology program?
All right, so if the person is coming from, they're not coming from counseling psychology or any of the mental health field, then the first section of the program, the first 3 classes are designed as prerequisites, so that even if the person is coming from business, they can still matriculate into the program, but they'll have to earn at least a B, and we expect that the students will maintain at least a B average throughout the course. They'll have to earn at least a B in order to move forward in the program. Are there any other questions?
I have a question, Dr. Thompson.
Okay.
You mentioned where we should apply, but you did tell us, is there a cutoff time for that application?
Right, so the application starts in January and we'll accept application maybe up to the last week in April. Those are late applications. So those who are applying late, there will be an additional cost. There will be a fee for late application. So you can start applying as early as possible, but we do accept students up to the last week in April, I believe, but I wouldn't advise you to wait until that time. You want to complete, you can start your application before you graduate. So if you know that you want to start your graduate studies at NCU, then you can start applying. Maybe if you're going to graduate in August, then you can start applying in the fall. So you can start applying in the fall and you'll be ready to, you get your information ready for May of the following year, because we start every May. We accept new students every May for the master's program and every 2 years for the PhD program.
All right, there's another question in the chat.
Yes.
It says, how would non-Christian students navigate the program, seeing that it integrates a Christian perspective?
Right. So in terms of the information that's discussed in class, if there is a non-Christian student, then the goal is not to try to indoctrinate. We're just having a discussion and the student may or may not participate in the discussion. but we'll try to apply the Christian worldview on some of the discussions that we're having. So if we look at courses like the history of psychology, and we're talking about how psychology came about, then there's some aspects there that are not necessarily, that may talk about the supernatural. And then we'll apply, what does that look like? What does that mean for us as psychologists? And how do we apply the Christian worldview? So it's not that the students are pressured, or, that we're trying to indoctrinate them. It's, we're having a discussion, and if the student decides to participate, that's fine. And if not, we continue.
All right, I have another question. How are the courses administered, especially in this pandemic environment? Is it
Right.
that person have to live on campus? Do you commute? What's
Okay.
the setup like?
Yes, very good question. So the classes are offered for the master's students. Classes are offered twice a month, and that would be the second and fourth Sunday. We don't have classes during the week, so the courses are offered on Sundays, second and fourth Sunday, and a Friday. And all our courses are now online. We actually moved the entire program online just before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, we were already offering our courses online. So we use the LMS Blackboard. Once you're registered, then you'll have access to the Blackboard. We'll meet online. We'll have our classes. You turn in your assignments online. There are some courses, however, where we may have to have some face-to-face classes. So if you're taking a course in cognitive assessment or clinical assessment, then at some point you'll have to meet with your professor online to kind of go through the administration and scoring and so forth. But most of all the courses are currently online. And when you get to the point where you're taking a course where you may need to have a face-to-face contact, then of course you'll have that information way ahead of time. And you wouldn't have to meet for every class session on the campus. Most of it would still be online, and then the professor would let you know what dates will be on the campus.
And on the campus means in Mandeville?
Yes, NCU. Right,
Okay.
the NCU campus.
Okay, I was of the impression that there was a branch in Kingston.
Right, there is a branch in Kingston.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so Denise is asking, since NCU accepts students in May, is it that classes start in September?
No, we start in May. So, so for students who are coming in May, the second Sunday in May would be the first day of class for the master's students. So we don't start in September. You would have completed at least 2 semesters, because we go throughout the year. So you'll have May to July. Yeah, well, you'd have completed 1 semester. We go May to July, you get a break, and then we start again in August. So if you graduate in August, then you wouldn't be able to start with us until the following year, May, because we don't accept new students in September.
Okay, at UA usually our graduation is in November.
Okay.
So that would definitely mean the following year for us, because our semester ends about April, and then there may be persons who may have to do 1 or 2 courses over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So we would actually be matriculated until the following year.
Okay, great. So you'd have the entire spring, end of year, entire spring to complete your application and get everything, all your
on time.
Huh?
On time.
Yes, you have plenty of time to do that. And again, if you know that you are interested in pursuing a course at NCU, the master's program, then you can apply. If you know you're going to graduate in November, you could start applying anytime in that fall. So October, because we will hold your documents until you can prove that you have graduated. The other thing is that you need to produce a copy of your diploma. So you could submit the application and all the other documents, and then once you have your certificate, your diploma in hand, then you could just submit that. But I think you would have enough time to complete the application process.
All right. So another question, the class time, is it in the evenings or is the whole day on Sundays that classes are
Right.
held?
Good question. So it would be the whole day because the classes are 3 hours each. So if you're taking theories of counseling and developmental psychology, actually you'd have 3 classes on that day. You take theories of counseling, developmental psychology, and stats. So it would be the entire day for that Sunday.
That's like starting at 8 in the morning or 9?
Yes, we start at 8 and we go till 5:30.
Okay.
Yeah, now the mistake that some students make sometimes is that because we're only meeting 2 Sundays a month, and the Friday for me, the Friday is usually an online discussion. So I'll post a question and the students will respond and we'll have our discussion online for the Friday instead of meeting from 9 to 11. But some students seem to think that because we only meet twice a month, then it's a part-time program. But it is a full-time program with a full-time requirement. And if you're not planning your the things you need to do properly, then you may become overwhelmed because most of our students are working professionals. So they have a full-time job and they're taking on a full-time course of study. And some people run into burnout because they didn't understand that the program has a full-time requirement. You have assignments and papers to write and reviews to do. So you have to think about it as a full-time program. And even if I meet twice a month, there are assignments that I'm going to have that I'll have to be completing throughout the semester.
Doc?
Yes.
Dania here. Good afternoon, everybody. I know you see this random person speaking. My name is Dania. I'm actually a student currently, a PhD
Okay,
student.
great.
I know. So I just wanted to concur with that statement that even though we're only meeting 2 Sundays per month, it is a full-time program. Okay, you have enough work and enough content to keep you very occupied. The next class will come before you know it. So it may be I would use the term that it's a very flexible full-time program, but it is a full quota of work that you will be doing.
Thank you, Dania. So Dania is one of our PhD students. Thank you for joining us. And so let me just talk a little bit about the financial part of it, because we do have grad assistantship that we offer to our students. So each year, we'll take on a master's student. And what that means is that that person is able to complete the entire program tuition free, but they'll have to work in the department. So they'll be assigned to a professor, and that professor may have you helping with research or doing assessments in the community, whatever it is that we need done in the department. So that student will be able to complete their program tuition free, but they'll have to work in the department. So that's like a scholarship of sort, but it's a grad assistantship. And for those who are interested, then we encourage them to apply like the fall of the year prior. We review the applications in January and then we'll make a decision. So we always have a master's and at least one PhD. Sometimes we have 3 grad assistants, but I think we're down to 2. Sometimes we have 3. I think we're just using 2 now. Right, Dania. So Dania is a grad assistant, and then we have I have a master's level grad assistant. We also, as it relates to finance, so for individuals who are not able to pay the full cost of their tuition up front, then they're allowed to make arrangement with the finance office. And they'll put you on a payment plan and you try to pay that over the course of the semester, or however however the arrangement has been made, you'll pay according to that arrangement that you'd make with the finance office. It is important for students who make these financial arrangements to hold up their end of the bargain, because if you promise to pay over the semester and you don't, then it's going to be hard for the department to allow you to register for the next semester because you didn't honor your end of the bargain. And of course, the student loan bureau and so forth, some students may decide to use student loans or, other forms of financial assistance from family or friends or institutions that offer scholarships. Are there any other questions?
Dr. Thompson, can you remind us of the fees again, please?
Okay, so let's see if I can go back to it. So the cost for I give you the information for both. So it's $385 per credit, which is about 48,317 for the MSc program. So you would multiply the 48,317 by 49, and that'll give you the cost of the 2-year. The total cost would be that much. And then it's $525 for the PhD students.
And that's the maximum of 6 credits per semester? What's the minimum credit you can take?
Right. We encourage the students to stay with their cohorts. If they're doing 6 credits for this semester, and something happens where you have to take just 1, that's fine, but then you're going to be left behind your cohort. And I understand, because sometimes we have students who just can't manage to do the 6 credits. We'll allow them to take the 1, but we do encourage you to stay with your cohort so that you move through the program smoothly. Yes.
So Dr. Thompson, you're saying that the norm is 6. Sorry, I'm mixing up credits with courses. I meant to ask about courses.
Okay.
How many courses would we need to take to meet the semester requirement minimum?
Yes, hold on. So let me pull this up. So for the semester, you will take 3 courses. So you'll have one from 8 to 11, and then from 11 to about 2:30 or 11:30 to 2:30, and then so you take 3 for the semester. So you'll have 3 classes for the days that that you're taking. So the 2nd and 4th Sundays, you'll have 3 classes on those days.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Any other comments to share, Danya?
I think you covered most of it. It's just if they have any questions for me as a student,
right,
versus the lecturers or, admin's perspective. Yeah. There's a question about a master's in IO or social work.
Okay. So someone is asking whether or not we have that.
Yeah.
Yes, when the program first started, they started with the industrial organization, and I don't think we had social work, but it was school psychology, industrial organizational, and the counseling psychology. But we didn't have enough interest in the IO and the school psychology, so they moved to the counseling psychology with the 2 emphasis areas. We are thinking about, however, a master's in social work. So that's in the planning stage, and we're working on adding that program to the graduate psychology department, but we're not ready to accept students just yet.
So just to clarify, so there is no industrial organizational psych, right?
No, not at this time, not at NCU.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The question,
and we're all
Go ahead,
Yes.
Doc. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You guys are all clear on the subspecialties in psychology. You don't need me to talk about that, right?
Miss, you
We'd
can
actually
actually
like you to
touch it.
talk. We'd like you to talk about that.
Okay, so I'll just quickly give you an idea of the ones that I can remember. So NCU, we only have counseling and the educational, but other subspecialty would include clinical psychology, sports psychology, industrial organizational psych, health psychology, uh, experimental psychology. So those are the ones that I can remember. Now, when you're thinking about working as a psychologist, if you want to practice or if you want to do research, then that would kind of inform the track or the subspecialty that you get into. So if you want to work in the corporate world, then of course industrial organizational psych would be the one for you because that's where your interest is. If you are interested in becoming licensed as a clinical counseling or educational psychologist, those are and school psychologists. Those tracks are considered licensure track. So if you were to go overseas or go to another university and complete a degree, for example, in health psychology, then you may not be able to become licensed because it's not a licensure track. You wouldn't have completed the courses, the core courses, and completed the internship requirement in order to be licensed. So when you're thinking about where do I want to work? Do I want to practice? Do I want to give myself options so I can have a private practice, I can teach, I can, work in organization? Then think about whether or not you want to go into a track that allows you to be licensed as a psychologist or it doesn't matter to you. And I always recommend to the students to take the licensure track. Usually those are more difficult and time consuming, but in the long run, it pays off. Because if you complete courses in health or sports psychology is not a licensure track either, but you may like working with athletes or working in that environment, then of course you can consider sports psychology. But I highly recommend that you go with those subspecialties that will allow you to complete the requirements for licensure, because those tracks give you more options, more flexibility, and of course the financial payoff is usually more lucrative, better because of the fact that you have to be licensed to practice in those particular specialties. All right. And if
Hold on,
guys,
Doc.
if you,
There was a
yeah,
question. I'm thinking it was directed at me. What did you do your master's in, Jamila?
Yes, it's directed at you.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually went to UA. I'm feeling so nostalgic right now. um, so I did my undergraduate in psych, and then I did my master's in applied psychology at UA as well.
And what are you doing the PhD in now?
Educational psychology.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
all right, guys. So if there are no other questions or comments, I'm going to take my leave. I appreciate the questions, and if you have any questions or any concerns or just want to talk to me, Jada has my WhatsApp number, and you could send me an email as well if you want to ask any further questions. Okay. All right.
Well,
So
Dr. Thompson, before you go,
yes.
on behalf of the UA Mona PFA Club, we just want to say thank you very much. You have shared a whole lot of information with us. It's been very straightforward, and we really appreciate that. And I'm sure that a number of us will make contact with you as we try to forge a way forward in this career. Thank you so much.
Okay. It was my pleasure, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. All right. Take care.
Okay, so I'm sure you guys all enjoyed that. Broadening your options and understanding further what graduate school should be allowing, not just at UE, but also at NCU. I don't think we can thank her enough. Some of us are a bit more confused than others, and so any information helps. Um, in regards to any queries, any I guess oddities that you've experienced throughout the semester, I think we can take about 10 minutes or so, 20 minutes maybe, to voice some of these complaints or air some grievances, just to blow off some more steam while the midterm is still hot and ready, because we are stressed. So I'll open up the floor to anyone who wants to participate. 20 minutes. Am I supposed to take it that life is all good for everybody?
I'm sorry. I was signing. Can you repeat, please?
I was saying, now that we've had our talk, and I'd assume that we've all found it helpful, yeah? That now we can take around 20 minutes to bring up any grievances that we have throughout the school year or have just encountered. Or if you'd like to, just share some sort of experience, blow off some steam, because as I said, midterms are still in swing, and maybe others don't have an outlet for persons to listen to them. So I'm affording that chance right now.
Okay, Marie Shaw,
Yes,
I
I'll.
was saying that we're not sure what will come up